Hello and welcome to the Evercade Retreat. Gene Joke here, and today I'm adding Canyon Bomber to my ever-growing list of, ranking every Evercade game ever. There are two versions of Canyon Bomber on the Evercade, the arcade original and the 2600 port. Canyon Bomber is a very straightforward game and I don't have a huge amount to say about it, so I decided to ask Copilot to write a detailed review, and this is what it came up with.
Canyon Bomber, Arcade, 1977. Overview. Released during the golden age of arcade experimentation, Canyon Bomber is a two-player game where players drop bombs from a blimp or a plane onto layers of coloured rocks in a canyon, attempting to clear as many as possible before running out of ammunition. Gameplay and design. Mechanics. Players can't control the blimp's movement, just when to drop the bombs. Timing and prediction are the key. Scoring. Different rock colours yield different points, and strategy emerges from anticipating where bombs will land. Visuals. Pure raster charm. Blocky canyon walls, chunky explosions, and austere black backgrounds define the look. Sound. Minimalist bleeps and bloops, true to its era, but strangely satisfying as rock clusters shatter. Strategic layer. Though deceptively simple, the game incorporates a subtle rhythm and psychological tension. There's a hint of chaos theory, small input, unpredictable output, and a strong emphasis on risk versus reward. Legacy and impact. Canyon Bomber stood out for its being non-competitive in a landscape of space invaders and shootouts. Its abstraction paved the way for high-score puzzle action hybrids like Breakout and Tetris, yet it remains largely forgotten outside of retro compilations and cabinet collectors.
And the 2600 port.
Canyon Bomber, Atari 2600, 1978. Home console translation. On the 2600, Canyon Bomber morphs into something stranger. Due to hardware limitations, it reimagines the game as a top-down abstract bombing run over checkerboard bricks.
Say what?
Changes and adaptations. Players now pilot planes horizontally across the screen, bombing bricks from above. There's more agency, but less precision. Graphics. Minimal even by 2600 standards. The canyon becomes a grid of numbers and bricks. The colour-coded nuances of the arcade version is mostly gone. Modes. Several variations exist. Time limit, bomb count, or a game over when bricks are gone. Some include AI opponents with rudimentary logic. Strategy. Less about timing, more about sweeping destruction. Without the arcade's tension, it becomes a race to clear their field efficiently, not tactically. Sound. Sparse and synthetic, with flickering feedback during brick hits. The explosion is more implied than felt. Final thoughts. Canyon Bomber straddles that early Atari threshold, before mascots, before genre orthodoxy, before narrative. It's digital abstraction meeting Cold War tension, translated into blinking pixels and blown up rocks. The 2600 version feels like a placeholder in the system's early library, but the arcade original preserves a cryptic charm, a relic from gaming when sound and strategy were distilled into their purest forms.
Well, all in all, I'd say Copilot writes some absolute fluff there. Safe to say, Canyon Bomber is an extremely basic game that while you can find some charm in it, it really doesn't have a lot to offer. But I really have no idea where Copilot got the top-down aspect from or about the 2600 version. Yeah, whatever. Should we be surprised that generative AI makes mistakes? Absolutely not. The arcade original does have a certain black and white charm to it, and it is very much of its time. It's not a bad game per se, but it's not one I'm going to choose to play unless it comes up in some kind of high score challenge. Although I've got to admit I was quite amused by Copilot's comments about the psychological elements. Yeah, sure. Placing it in my overall ranking list, I would place it above Earthworm Jim 2, but below Sky Shark for the NES. It's very basic, but it's fine for what it is, and it certainly doesn't irritate me like Earthworm Jim 2 does. Moving on to the 2600 port, well, Copilot seemed to make a few more mistakes there than it did with the arcade original. That top-down stuff, yeah, what? And saying that this more colourful version lost the colour-coded nuances of the arcade original was a bit weird. Yeah, it does look basic, even for a 2600 game, maybe. It's an early 2600 game, so I can forgive it that. It has more game modes. You've even got the ship type thing as well. So I think it's successfully expanded upon the arcade original. But no, you still don't control your helicopter or plane or whatever. You just push a button to empty your load. Although it was correct, the explosion sound isn't very good. Oh, another thing it got wrong is it mentioned how the 2600 version was more of a single player thing. What? No, you still get 2 player modes. Well, unless you're playing playing on a handheld Evercade, I suppose, or a Super Pocket. But really I think it's the addition of the Sea Bomber mode that actually improves the game over the arcade original in some ways. Even though much of the charm of the arcade original is lost. Even so, it's not a game I'm going to choose to play unless it's some kind of challenge or something. To rank it in my overall list, I would have to put it, well, I'm going to put it just below Cannon Bomber Arcade, but still above Earthworm Jim 2. They're pretty much on par with each other, just in different ways. Looking at where I've placed it, part of me feels maybe it's too high because they are such simple, basic games, but they are completely inoffensive and absolutely fine for the era and, well, what they're trying to do. And somehow I've managed to fill up over 5 minutes talking about Canyon Bomber, which I think is fairly impressive. But alas, that is it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.